My career sucks.
Sex just isn't the same.
What's my purpose?
Where did this fat come from?
My relationship is killing me.
I'll never be happy.
My debt is piling up. I'll never find love. Why can't I be like other gay guys? Hey guys, it's time to get a grip, stop whining, make a bold move, and do something amazing with your 40-plus gay life. Let's get to the show with your Tell It Like It Is host, Rick Clemons, who does his best to never act like a dick or a diva unless you act like one first.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 40 Plus Gay Men Gay Talk. And today we are going to be talking, but don't forget to join us for our monthly Gay Men's Chats. They're typically the third Monday of the month. You might want to go to the website and double check. Just go to gaymens.chat.com and you can find those. We always have a great conversation there. But today is going to be even a better conversation because I know many of you, whether you're just coming out or you're in that midlife place, like you're trying to figure some new stuff out. And then you get really serious about figuring things out. You're like, okay, I got to do the plan. I got to have everything. And you forget to have fun. You forget to play and you forget to step into that playfulness that actually can guide you to purpose and where you want to go. Well, I've been there many times and I realized what I had to do was quit being so fucking serious and let's have some fun and let's be playful. And when I decided to try to find somebody to talk on this subject matter, I happened to come across an author whose book is out, just came out, and the author's name is Cas Holman. They are here with us today to talk about all the things they've learned to help us all be playful in our life. They've got a background in design. They've traveled all over the place. They have had playful learnings every space they go in. I'm not going to say they are the master at this because they'd probably slap me through the screen if I said that. But I'm very excited to have Cas Holman with us and go explore how do we put this playfulness into our world. So, Cas, welcome to the podcast. So glad you're here.
Hi. Thanks, Rick. That was quite an introduction. Yeah, I tried to avoid...
I was just a little bit drunk when I did it, so I think it flowed
great.
a little bit easier. So,
no, and also you were right about like I try to avoid like kind of proclaiming expert about anything. I do believe that there are experts, but I also, in my own mentality, want to be always willing to both learn all the time and be wrong sometimes. Right. And so, but I do spend a lot of time and have spent many decades thinking about and talking about play.
Well, and it's so important. I mean, we all can get really pent up about where we are in life and what's going on, all that sort of stuff. But I always find when I get just a little more playful or a little more curious about things, life just takes on a whole nother meaning. And so I'm curious, what drove you towards, I'm assuming because you were in toy companies and all that sort of stuff, that this creativity and fun was kind of a part of your DNA.
Yeah. And, I had been asked about designing for adults a few times. And I kind of thought, well, what we actually need is therapy. Like the reason that adults have a hard time playing isn't because they don't have the right products, right? So I kind of was like, I don't think this is a design problem. But I also spent 13 years as a professor of both industrial design and fine art. So I realized that in that time, my job literally was creating the conditions for adults to play, right? Mm-hmm. Young adults, and we can discuss whether or not a 19-year-old is an adult, but people from 19 to, 32, I worked with grad students as well. So I kind of thought, actually, I do know quite a bit about what it takes for adults to be playful and kind of reconnect with their playful selves in a way that can make them more creative, happier, more open to the unpredictability and kind of uncertainty that is life.
No, life is one big, we know exactly what's happening and where we're going. So let's just, it's kind of funny, guys, as we were preparing for this, I was just telling Cas a story about visiting my oldest daughter not long ago. And she's got everything figured out. Yeah, it's going to happen on this schedule and everything. And she's playful. She is very playful. I will have to hand her that. But there are times I'm like, things are a little bit too planned. Why don't you just chill a little bit? And of course, anytime I say something like that, she's like, well, Dad, why don't you just chill a little bit too? So, but
they are in fact a mirror, aren't they?
They are. They really, really are.
Yeah, I think that, even for people who like to who plan or like to kind of be a little more controlled, less chaotic, than myself, for example, I tend toward chaos. My partner thankfully is a little more like, why don't we, we can actually control how this day goes. Let's plan
Right.
it, right? Um, but even if you prefer that, being playful or having a playful mindset
Hmm.
will still make you more adaptable when there is change, when the unexpected
Yes.
comes up. And so I think because in play we become comfortable with unknown. We like a big part of free play in particular is approaching things with curiosity. And so kind of diving in without being hung up on doing something right or getting the
Right.
right answer, right? In free play and open-ended play, there isn't a right and wrong way of doing it. So it
Mm-hmm.
makes us really kind of fluent in adaptability, in like kind of maybe this is right for now. What if this is right for now? And I really think that that applies to all aspects of life and work and even love, the way that our relationships and queers, of course, like and LGBTQ, IA humans, all of
Hmm.
us. I think that we are particularly tend to be pretty good at play because we've already done one of the like first and primary things that I in the book kind of prescribe for adults in reconnecting with their play, which is releasing judgment, right? I think we had to release judgment in order to come out. We had to like trust that we were gonna be seen,
Yep.
that we trusted ourselves, we were gonna be okay, we were gonna find something that was right for us, even if we maybe couldn't see it or weren't currently in it. So I think that, and I even actually talk about this in the book very carefully because I didn't want to just say like, well, queers are super good at playing, so I don't know everybody else. Good luck,
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
I tried to figure out
That would
like,
be the
but
queer
why?
agenda, right? That would,
Yeah.
well, we're going to run the queer agenda, but we're not going to include y'all because there is a
Yeah,
queer
I was
agenda.
like,
Let's just kind of go
that's
there.
not
But
super helpful. And I was
but
also interested in kind of, why? Why is it that we play a lot,
we do play a lot, and I think that's a beauty of who we are. I think all of us inherently as humans had that, and then
Hmm.
suddenly something disconnects, and suddenly, oh, we don't do it. However, I do feel like in our queer community that we tend to disconnect too, but we're always kind of being pulled back in like, well, just have some fun, be playful.
Hmm.
Let's have a little camp. And it's not just camp. I'm not, there's a lot of things like let's do something completely different. Let's do something that's not expected
Hmm.
because we've already been trained, we're the unexpected, right?
Yeah.
And maybe train's not the great, well, it's kind of, we've already stepped into, we are the unexpected. And
Yeah.
so we're much more open to letting that fluidity. You said something just a minute ago, and I was going to write it down. But that fluidity of how we show up enables
Hmm.
us, a lot of us, not all of us. I work with a lot of people who still are like, I can't do that. That doesn't, well, if you could do it, what would be different? What if you just let yourself be that
Yeah.
fluid piece of enjoying and happiness and all of these sort of things? And again, this is why I really wanted to have this conversation because I think so many times gay men or whoever in our queer community, lesbians, non-conforming, all this sort of stuff, we can get really stiff. But when
Yeah.
we
I so
relax and get playful, so
yeah.
much more stuff can happen in a good
Yeah.
way.
And when I say we're playful, I don't mean to downplay how difficult it can be for many
Absolutely.
people to access their play and even to release judgment. Okay, we already came out, like I'm already weird enough now. I just need to kind of stick to the script and like
Hmm.
follow the rules. I need to dress right. I can't act weird
Right.
in public. I'm already gay. Like I've already, like one strike against me. I can't be weirder than that, right?
Hmm.
So there is this kind of like probably second stage of releasing judgment when we realize like, okay, we can also like our life can still look different, on top of
Yep.
also being like foundationally very different from what we perceive to be normal. And I also don't believe there's a normal. However, I think
Right.
that's part of releasing judgment is letting go of the idea that we're going to be judged or kind of harshly criticized for behaving in a way that is, to some extent, kind of considered misbehavior. Play is
Yep.
not how adults are supposed to act, right?
Yep.
In the book, there's actually some drawings in there as well. And I had I was thinking about, uh, this question, why is it hard for adults to play? And I was talking to people and hearing from, a lot of folks who said that they do have an instinct to play, and they just don't let themselves do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so it's kind of like we have a play voice. So I call it a play voice, and that's the voice that says, go dance, go dance on top of
Right.
that table at the
Right.
birthday party, or like sing in the grocery store because you love this song. And then there's an adult voice who is trying to protect you, right? So this is back to like it's human, and you've learned to listen to the adult voice, particularly through puberty, when social
Yep.
acceptance is like developmentally a primary drive in our kind of growing up and becoming who we are, right? Developmentally, we develop an awareness of like our social impact and
Yep.
interactions. So self-consciousness sets in, right? So I think that's also like where the adult voice starts to say like you'll look weird, or you look different than your friends, or you're not, that's not safe. It's trying to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to like help people hear their play voice, kind of understand that it also has benefits, and is also trying to protect you. It's trying to protect you from depression. It's trying to protect you from, social isolation, which may not be
Yep.
necessary. And so the adult voice is trying to protect you, and the play voice is also trying to like get you to like connect with yourself and be human. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we become aware of the kind of dialogue between the two, we can kind of start to thank the adult voice, say thank you,
Yes.
and I appreciate your protection, and I'm going to go and dance on that picnic table now.
Right.
I'm gonna listen to my play voice. So there's and there's I lay out kind of a few other strategies and
Mm-hmm.
things to keep in mind in order to trust that that's gonna be okay. Or, if somebody does yell at you, not let that shut down your instinct
Right.
in the future. So
It's important because as I work with gay men predominantly, especially coming out of the closet, there's this little exercise that I do. It's like, okay, which a lot of people use this, but I do it slightly differently. So let's go back to when you were 7 or 8. What did you enjoy playing the most? And I'm not
mm,
looking for like Barbies or anything. I'm not, that's not, I'm like, what I'm trying to get them to do is release into like what was play, what was enjoyment. Now, some of
mm,
them, this can be hard, right? Because things were already starting to be shut down. But I almost always can get them to one thing that's like really playful, like,
mhm.
oh, I really loved. I mean, I remember one client once said, I just really loved making like mud pies along the riverbank where we
Yeah,
lived. And I'm like, cool. So what did you do with that mud pie when it was all done? And he goes, well, I didn't eat them. I'm like, I didn't say you eat, but what did you do? He goes, it was just kind of fun to see that I created this. And I'd let them kind of dry out, and then I go stack them in this hidden space behind this tree.
mm,
And so we just kind of played with that. And I said, okay, so with that in mind, I want you to imagine your coming out process right now is you're playing with a new mud pie. You're
mm,
creating this new mud pie. And how does that feel to see it from that space where it's just a mud pie you're creating, having fun with? And everything started to shift for him, Gas, because it was really interesting to see by me latching onto something like that. It kind of gave that firm foundation. And I think sometimes this is where we really screw up. If
yeah,
we don't learn how to play and bring that play back into life, we get very serious and da, da, da. This is why I do this podcast. It was not
mm,
intended to ever, quote, be a podcaster. And suddenly I'm like, this is my fucking playtime. I love getting to do
yeah.
these things because it's
Yeah,
fun, it's enjoyable.
conversation is playful,
It is.
right?
And
And
too
like
often we shut it down.
taking an idea and being like, what about this? What if this? What about, yes, and like it's really
Mm-hmm.
playful to take an idea and toss it back and forth, and learning is playful, right? So there are a lot of ways that I think adults do play that we don't see. That's such a lovely, I love that as a way, using play as an end to get someone to kind of connect with like who they are,
Right.
which is also then deeply connected to them coming out. That's such a nice method.
But I also love what you just said. Learning is playful. And
Mm-hmm.
if we really think about, for most of us, regardless of what may have happened in our younger years, I mean, I don't remember a lot of teachers, but I do remember it was either my kindergarten or first grade teacher. It was always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, we were
And
still learning, but it was
yeah.
fun. And
And
I
in
think
this,
that's the
like,
piece that gets missed.
yeah, I think also separate school from
Yep.
learning, right?
Yep.
School for me was not fun. But learning has always been very fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am adventurous and curious.
Yep.
And when I go on a walk and poke at dead stuff, that's learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I turn over a rock and find things, or if I'm bird watching, like we're learning. When we're
Right.
people watching on the subway, that's learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also it's daydreaming and it's imagining and it's problem solving because I'm trying to figure out, how they know each other. Or I'm trying to guess if it's a first date or if they're related. So I think there's all kinds of ways that play and like I said, like kind of learning can be play, but also we learn while we play, and it's very different from specifically from school. And probably in kindergarten, you remember it being fun because kindergarten is before we start assessing,
Yes.
right? There are no tests. So the learning is because there's joy in it and because as humans we do it. It's like part of us um and then once we start assessing, that's when we start learning in order to take a test, in order to be able to
Mm-hmm.
assess the learning, right? It's this weird cycle that I think we're
Yep.
doing very
Yep.
wrong. But that's where like assessment changes, right? Assessment is an extrinsic motivation, whereas learning is intrinsic, right?
Right.
So, and the type of play that I am talking about in the book and the type of play that I designed for is intrinsically motivated play. So it's
Mm-hmm.
called free play. And it's different than sports and games with rules and instructions and winners. And it's different than puzzles. So adults have a lot of play in their lives that is not free play. It's like has instructions. You can do it right. It has a beginning and an end. And for a lot of people, like it's fun. And
Yep.
I also enjoy sometimes playing games and whatnot. Um, uh, but there's the fact that the play is attached to our like a score or completion or being successful at something for me is not the type of play that we need.
Mm-hmm.
We need play that is not telling us that we're right or wrong. We don't need something a lot of we do like affirming is nice, like finish a crossword puzzle and you're like I am smart, right? That's fine. And also your play can bring you to places that isn't about whether
Yep.
or not, you're successful. And so it just lets you be in who you are. That's non-hierarchical. There's nothing it's not comparative. So you can't
Right.
compare yourself to everybody else at the club, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, free play I think is deeply important to our mental health
I
for that
agree.
reason, the intrinsically motivated part.
As you were talking through this, it brought me back to back end of July, beginning of August. My husband and I were on a LGBTQ riverboat cruise from Zurich to
Mm,
Amsterdam. I used to work in Amsterdam, and so I was really looking forward to getting there and like, hey, I want to see it through his eyes, right? And the first day we got there, it was like the last day that there was actually quote excursions. Each stop there was an excursion where they took us off the boat and took us someplace.
yeah.
Well, this was the last one because we were happened to be there for Amsterdam Pride. So Friday we get there.
Oh,
It's one
amazing.
last thing you get to do, and then the weekend is yours to go just embrace Pride, right? So the two options: go do the riverboat canal tour through Amsterdam. Like, cool, that would be really good. That'd be a great way for my hubby to see, experience Amsterdam from the canal, or take a bike ride out through the
Mm,
marshlands. Now it was cold, not cold, but it was cooler and it was pretty good chance of rain. And I'm like, what would you like to do? And he's like, I think let's go have fun and do the bike ride. Of course, in my little tweaky bald head, I'm going, we're going to get rained on. And is it going to be fun? Da, da, da. But I'm
yeah.
like, you know what? I've never been out in that area, even though I worked there off and on for years. I never went out to that. Well, a lot of that area wasn't
Yeah.
even developed when I was working there. I'm like, yeah, let's go have some fun. And of course, as soon as we got on the bikes and got across the ferry to go there, it started raining. I'm like, just have fun with this.
Yeah.
I love rain, but I forgot how much I love rain. And when as a kid, when it rained, I'd
Yeah.
like, let me go outside and just get soaking wet. Now, a little bit
Yeah.
different because I'm on a bike, but I'm like, hey, everybody else was having fun. Everybody else was
Yeah.
getting wet. Everybody else was enjoying this. And then it would stop and we'd like, okay, let's all kind of brush off, all this sort of stuff. Even when my jacket would not zip up because it didn't stay zipped and it was a brand new jacket. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to get really soaked.
Yeah.
We got back to the boat and I was so happy
Oh,
and
yeah.
joyous because there was that adult mind going, you're getting wet. You're not comfortable. But
Or like,
yet,
we're on vacation. Everything's ruined.
right. Yeah, exactly. And it was such a great way to have experienced stuff that I could go do the canal. We did do the canal trip later at the end. We paid for it ourselves.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the same as what we got to experience out there in the fun, in the rain, with a guide from Amsterdam, stopping at these little villages out in the wetlands where the windmill,
Yeah.
It was just fun. And I'm so glad I got to do it.
Yeah. That's a great example of the three tenets. So I mentioned release judgment. Another one is embrace possibility. And so that is when to kind of be open to what might happen rather than really attached to what you expect or a defined outcome that you kind of know. So embracing possibility is just that, like, oh, I don't know how the bike ride is going to go. But let's see, right? Being open to, and again, maybe that relates a little bit to relinquishing control, right? Like saying like, I don't know, maybe it's going to rain. Then what? I'm going to trust that it'll be okay. Here we go. And then while you're in it, you might have the reaction to be like, rain, the worst. And saying like, no, this is actually come to find out I'm waterproof and this feels really good, And then you just kind of go with it. So, because I would argue, which relates to the third, it's like you queued me up for my like, these are the things that I really like. I think these are very helpful for adults to keep in mind when they're thinking about being playful, is to reframe success. So in that instance, what was success, right? Was success that your husband sees all of Amsterdam and gets a tour guide's explanation of like the beautiful buildings and historical sites? Or was success that you have a great time and feel happy afterward? Right? And any number of things could have worked, but remembering that was the goal kept you from getting hung up on this isn't right or this isn't working, right? So being clear about like, all right, success is that, we're having a night out together. So if the club is empty, let's dance ourselves. Like, or the success is that like we meet a couple people. So let's do that at the restaurant instead, right? We can just kind of always be more flexible if we approach things playfully and kind of stop and say like, wait, what is our goal? Right? Is our goal to be at the hottest nightclub or is our goal to be with each other? So let's stop being distracted by that nobody's at this bar and hang out, right? I'm thinking of like my own gay examples of when my friends and I are like, I'm like, you guys, we're making this not fun. Like, can we stop chasing and just enjoy each other? Like, just stop chasing. Let's just be here.
In fact, that just happened. That just happened yesterday. My husband and I were flying home from Seattle, and we got to the airport, and we're checking through. We had TSA pre-check, and then I didn't. And I was like, okay, how did I get up to this far? And it's all, and it was, I won't go into huge detail. So let's see, it's interesting. It was TSA pre-check on the same itinerary. He was booked on my itinerary. He got through.
Just fell off.
Mine going up was up on TSA. So long story short, I had to go kind of, and I could have gotten really ticked off. It was close. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, well, you know what, honey? You go, just tell me where you are. Go find some place because we were going to try to get to a lounge and, use some of our free lounge passes and all that. Long story short, I ended up interacting with some really cool people to get it all taken care of. Walked out of security finally once I did get back through TSA. He happens to be standing there talking to a guy that we were on the cruise with out of the blue that he happened to run into while we're standing in the airport. We go to the lounge. It was a dud. We're like, this one isn't very good. And so we just kept, well, what can we do now? What can we do now? Let's go do this, right? the whole thing was kind of heading towards could have been a huge disaster, but because we just stepped into like, we got all the
Yeah.
time in the world
What are you
right
gonna
now,
do?
let's just go. And
Yeah.
then ironically, we get to our gate and a friend of ours comes walking up like, what are you doing in Seattle too? So it was
Amazing.
all happening because it was meant to. Now, if we had
Yeah.
gone straight through, we probably wouldn't
Maybe
have run
not.
into either one of the, well, we would have run into our friend because he was coming home on the
Yeah.
same flight we were. But it's just so interesting when you just kind of embrace like what's happening. And I'm preaching to myself right now because I can get really intense. Like it's got to be done this way. But as soon
Yeah.
as I release, I love what you have here, the release, the embrace the possibility and redefine success. My life gets so much better every time I
Yeah.
do stuff like that. And that was one of
Yeah.
the things when I was reading the galley of your book, I'm like, these three tenets really resonated with me because this is kind of what I take guys through when I'm coaching them. Like,
Yeah.
okay, but what if you let go of that thought? What
Right.
becomes what's possible then? And then how would that look if that's the outcome versus the one that you predefined? And I work with professional speakers,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting to watch them put so much on the line. I'm like, yes, but what if you have your script, but it's okay to go off script and let people really feel you and hear you
Yeah.
and see you? That's to me what play is. It's
Yeah.
so much different. So what brought you to this point? I mean, the book's out. You've had a lot of things you've done. You've been creative. Worked in toy places. You've worked with some of the big companies, Google's and such. What was that thing that finally said, Cass, you need to write this book?
Well, there's a docu-series on Netflix called Abstract, The Art of Design, and one of the episodes is about me. It's beautiful. It's such a well-made documentary that it was very difficult to be the subject.
I'm sure.
Especially as a designer, having no control. That
Right.
was wow. That was really something. And after that came out, a few I had a couple opportunities to write kind of a textbook about
Mm.
designing for play. Um, and that just didn't sound like that was my play.
So can I
Right?
interrupt you here right now? Because
Yeah.
this is something really interesting that's happening. If you all are not watching on YouTube, that's okay. But if you're listening, notice that even Cass's demeanor is she's really like you're struggling right now to even talk about it because it wasn't aligned. I can tell it was like
No.
so not aligned. It's just a beautiful thing to be witnessing right now. So
Oh
continue
yeah.
on, Cass.
No, I mean that was that I'm good at being vulnerable. Like I'm like in
Right.
my all the time. But it was that was a tricky thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
to be the subject of a
I can
documentary and have no
imagine.
say. Um so
So what you're saying is you're a little bit of a
and
control freak then.
well, I think a lot of it had to do with it that I I I didn't see a lot of queer people, in particular queer people of my
Yep.
brand, my
Yep. Yep.
breed.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I hadn't at that stage in 2018 or something, hadn't seen a lot of them in design and in particular, certainly not on Netflix.
Yep.
So, uh, it was hard for me to trust how someone else would tell my story.
Yep.
And there were moments throughout the putting it together that that I realized I just have to trust them. I don't know them. I have no reason to not trust them, you know?
Yep.
I had seen their other work. The director, Elizabeth Chai Helye, is incredibly talented. The producer,
Mm.
Julia Bray, like all these people were wonderful. But nobody that I knew of, at least, was queer. So,
Mm.
so that was hard, and it was beautiful. It's an incredible documentary, and I had so much feedback from young people, old people, families, just like like the responses were beautiful, and so some of them heartbreaking because it was people either saying, thank you for being who you are and telling your story. Like I understand my children differently. I also, at some point my mom is in it, so and
Wow.
she, so she talks about that it was hard to have a kid who was both weird and weird because I was creative and kind of an artist, and then that my gender was strange.
Yeah.
Like, so it's all there.
It's all
Um,
laid out on the line.
yes. And so afterward, the responses were telling. I probably suspected that there were other people who could benefit from hearing stories like mine,
Yeah.
but I there were just so many. And so the book offers the kind of will you write textbook. I was like, if I'm going to take on a project like this, um, and I want it to be, I don't want it to be a textbook. Like I want
Yep.
it to be something that's actually like a little more helpful to people and has more of me in it. I was interested in putting myself in it. So an agent reached out, Kirby Kim, and he just was like, "We're gonna do this," and he found me a co-writer. This is the other thing. I'm a designer who writes. I am not a writer. And so getting some of this out of my brain onto the page in a way that's like
Yes.
coherent,
Yeah.
we have Lydia Denworth to thank for that.
Mm.
It would have taken me a decade to make any of it make sense, and it probably would not have been quite as clear as it is in the book. So she and I had a really playful process of figuring out how to frame things, which stories helped with which concepts, and really playing with language a lot. And that was
That's
fun. So
awesome.
that made the process a lot more fun and playful for me.
Well, and it
Um,
has to be
yeah.
that way. People are saying to me, when are you going to write your next book? When are you going to write And I'm like, I did. It's written, but it's not kind of like you. It's there. Something's still not quite feeling right yet. And I'm like, it'll happen. And I'm not forcing it into being, because
Yeah.
when I force my creativity, it doesn't work. It
No,
literally
it just
doesn't work.
hurts.
It
Yeah.
really hurts. And then I'm like, I'm just writing like, let's do this to like, kind of here's the level of success. The book is written. Now I know I want to, and I shopped it to a few agents. They're like, yeah, this just isn't really landing. I'm like, of course it's not landing, because it's not even landing for me. So I've given it a
Right.
little rest and said, hey, we're going to put you in hibernation for a little bit till I feel like it's the right time, and go from there. But I'm so excited to see you putting this out in the world. The bits that I
Thank you.
got through, I didn't get through the whole book, but I loved the bits that you brought up, and especially the process. The three things is something that just so resonated. And that's only one piece, guys. So
Yeah.
guys that are listening, I would highly recommend it. It's out there now. It's called Playful. You can get it, I'm assuming, anywhere that you can buy any book, right, Cass? You can probably pick
Yep.
it up anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I love my little indie bookstore down the street. So if you have one of
absolutely.
those, always the best.
Always the
But you can
best.
buy it
Absolutely.
anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you came and shared, because I think these are the things, and it was so interesting to listen to you walk through those three foundations: the release,
Hmm.
the embrace the possibility, and then the redefine success. Because no matter where we are in our journey as queer people, I
Hmm.
think this is one thing we've learned when we realize we had to release ourselves into being our truest selves.
Hmm.
As soon as we did that, then we could see the possibilities of what we could be. And even though it was a struggle for many of us, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people who didn't have a rough coming out process, and we never stop.
Yeah.
But then how do we reframe our successes? What does it mean to be successfully, quote, queer, gay, lesbian, non-gender non-conforming, whatever it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
I think
And
it's such
also
a
like
beautiful metaphor for all of it.
success is like being you, right? Like
Absolutely.
success isn't successful in the way I feel like that word sometimes has stopped meaning anything because we're so
Mm-hmm.
used to it meaning, job, 401k, car in the driveway, etc. But success to me means that you feel fulfilled and joyful in your life. Maybe not all the time.
Absolutely.
In fact, of course, not all the time.
Yeah.
Joy is doesn't we don't carry it with us constantly. Like
Right.
hopefully we have some seed of it to help. But times are going to be uncertain and hard, and there will be challenges
Yep.
always. Success means that you like feel okay and resourced to take it on because you are feeling like yourself and feel fulfilled in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Success is going to visit your oldest daughter and her husband and knowing, just zip your lip, dad,
Yeah.
just zip your lip. So,
Yeah,
but it's so
exactly.
good. Well, I'm excited. Again, the book is out. We will have all the all the content on the website, folks, for you to connect with Cass, connect with the book. grab a copy of it. You will love it. Like I said, I got a preview copy of it, and it was really great to read into what I've got. I'm going to go get a couple extra copies to have around the house for possibly for holiday gifts. We're not that far away from the holidays at this point, but
yeah.
Thanks again, Cas, for being here. So appreciate what you brought to my
thank
world
you for
and
your
my
work,
guys.
Rick.
And hey, guys, go be playful, whatever that looks like for you. So have a good week, everyone, and we will catch you in just another week with another episode of 40 Plus Gay Men Gay Talk. Take care, everybody.
That's a wrap for 40 Plus Gay Men, Gay Talk, where size doesn't matter. We drop our bullshit, get over our screwed up fears, make bold moves, and live life without apologies. Don't forget to join us on Facebook at 40 Plus Gay Men, Gay Talk, where the conversations continue.